G'day everyone, Alex here, and welcome to our new podcast, Finance But Neat, where while we acknowledge you need some complexity, and it is often the enemy for most financial models, the reality is you kind of need it sometimes, and we want to make things just not simple, not easy, but just neat. So you understand them and you know what's going on when you're making these heavy decisions around your finances.
Yeah. You had a customer just yesterday, I think, that had a really complicated scenario, went to a different broker. Things were really overcomplicated. How'd you make it neat for them?
Yeah, so the previous broker last year did some transactions for them. Love privacy laws. To kind of oversimplify it, I was looking at their portfolio, their loans, the amount of loans they had, the direction of the loans, the purposes, and I didn't understand what was going on. And the clients couldn't understand it. They didn't have, per investment property, they had 3-4 investment properties. They didn't have a loan, one account per investment. They weren't tracking cash. And it was all just really messy. And so what we're doing is we had to look at all the equity. We can get it all cleaned up. The equity's in a great position, so we don't need all these random cash outs and everything like that, and we're bringing it all together. And we can't always do that, but we can at least explain it, start to let them know where their money's going. You can have 2 accounts and the direct debits, the cash flow all in one account. Like, it's just bringing it all together and going, hey, this complexity of cash flow is actually a giant leaky bucket on your finances. Let's just get that going, get that fixed first, and then we know what that next transaction is, that next equity, that next investment property, that next dream home. That is all the platform of neatness that allows that.
Yeah, I think with tidying up the logistics of how they lend in this scenario will probably even expand them to be more ready to take another step on something in the future as well, right? Because they understand that things can move simply.
Yeah.
And it allows them to maybe dream bigger.
Yeah. If you're feeling constrained where you're at, and like we do living expenses analysis, right? Like, it's not a grilling, it's an understanding of where people's money is. And when I had a look at it, it was like, I think this person's doing some gig work because they actually don't know where their money's going. And then when you look at, like, it wasn't even basic recreation spending, it was other discretionary was insanely high. And it was like, I actually think everyone's panicking and looking for a quick spending dopamine hit. Guilty. Because you don't know where your money's at. You don't know why you're doing things. And suddenly you're, having to do hustles and side hustles and to afford everything. Why would you ever invest and create more wealth with another property when you're stuck in that position?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we both know what it's like to have single income households, right? It's, it's not fun. So, but let's do a little bit of an intro into ourselves. So I think, Bindi, firstly, you've been in broking for almost a year now with funded finance.
Almost.
How long were you at CommBank?
16 years.
16 years. I find it hilarious that we've got so many 35-year-olds in our business, by the way. Like, we're all, with decades of experience. What I think has been, you've had a long banking career of 16 years, still in finance. What has kind of been the key differences you've noticed?
Yeah, so my background in CommBank was I spent 8 years in branch or different branches, and I sort of understand that real transactional side.
Yeah.
The rest of that time was in lending, whether it was actually lending myself or whether it was leadership of lending. And so probably it's funny coming into your world here for the last almost year. I've been really reflective, like what I would have done different as a leader, what I would have taught people to care about more in order to be more successful in their roles. But you don't have that lens, without sort of stepping out. So some of the big differences obviously are you really are pricing, like if a customer's like main goal is price, you really are in the best position to be able to give them the kind of loan that they want with the rate that is best for them if that's what their goal is. Similarly, if their goal is I just need to get into the market, or I just need to purchase this property for whatever reason.
Yep.
Maybe it's not about rate, but maybe it's about a normal, one of the big banks may not have an appetite to lend for that, but you'll find if they want to just get into the market, you'll find someone as a lender that would be happy to support them.
Yeah.
Those are two really big differences. Obviously, when you're siloed in one bank, you're working with one appetite, you're working with one rate book. Like, you don't have the space to actually present a real comparative offer to them.
On that, I remember, this would have been 2018, 2019. I'd been a broker a mobile banker for maybe 6 months. I had gotten this really cool, I was getting really cool referrals from a real estate agency, and one of them was like a doctor. And I sat down, I was legitimately an idiot, and he's like, ANZ will say we can do 95% loans on Medico, LMI waivers. I was like, I work for the Commonwealth Bank. If I can't do a deal, no one can.
Yeah.
And it was kind of this cockiness of like, hey, I can do anything. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was like, and I was completely wrong. ANZ do it all day, every day. I've got a couple solutions like that now that will do 95% loans for medical waivers, even for physios. Got to use that later. Thank you, Anna. But it's just, you don't know what you don't know when you're in the bank land. And that's not a knock on bankers, but some of the most incredible people I know are bankers. But just from my perspective, I didn't realize how much I didn't know until I left banking.
Yeah. The other thing I would add is, and I don't know necessarily that this comprehensive across all brokerage firms. I imagine that there's a lot of big firms out there that are very, find it hard to pivot, find it hard to move and be agile. But one of the things that I notice in your business is that you can be as agile as what you want.
Yeah.
You can, and the way that you're setting up your team to really holistically look after your customers and deliberately look after them. That's a huge difference. I think as I know as a branch, as a bank lender, we focus so much on what is the customer's need right now.
Yeah.
How do we do everything that we can to give them a good price and get them a loan?
Yep.
But we didn't do a great job of looking after them after that. And I think you've structured your team really well in order to not only look after them in the first instance, but help them to be progressing with their goals as they go down the track.
Yeah, and I think it's a very complex thing to solve in bank land. It is when you've got, I am the shareholder of funded finance, right? And so I think it is a very complex thing for banks to solve. I've been in a meeting where a major bank's CEO said it's a very brave CEO who starts repricing their back book. And I was like, correct. You've got shareholders. You've got to predict what your revenue is going to be over the next 3 months, quarter, as a bank. Otherwise, you're in deep trouble. And they're playing with the rules that they've been given, right? And if they start doing that, they're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
And that's not to knock banks. It's just to give the situation they're coming from. And part of the key to unlocking that long term, we want to walk through life with our clients. It's really, really clear on that. And I think part of unlocking that was having you come into the team to actually, you told me the other day this may be creepy a little bit, but you're keeping an eye on when kids' sport is, so you know when we can catch up with them in 6 months' time.
Your customers' kids' sport. Not general kids' sport. I think it's just their life in general. If I can get to know a little bit about what your customer's life is like, I can help meet their expectations, make things easy for them to get in front of you, because it's the whole segment of what you do, right, is life admin, which is just the hardest thing for anyone to get done, which is great that they have someone like yourself to sit down and do it with them. But it is one of those things that you will cancel it or put it off if someone doesn't make it easy for you. So, yes, I try to take an interest in their lives, see how we can work and make that easier so that I can get them in front of your expertise.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think the real value add is just hey, we've saved you a bit of money on your rate. And I think that for me is kind of an expectation. If there's an opportunity to save, we will, regardless of whatever the cost is to us, or, we want to do that. But also just having a conversation. And I really like framing these well in terms of what are your goals? Because this is what's possible. But what are your goals first, and then kind of pivoting off that.
Yeah. Cool. So what about you? I mean, you've been in finance similar to me, 15, 16 years. You've been out on your own now for 3. Why the podcast? Why is it important to you?
Firstly, and I know she'll never watch this, Anna, when I told her, Anna's like, oh, thank goodness you're finally going to do this. I've been talking about it for so long. The reality from my perspective is I'm very, 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 very tired of finfluencers and everyone throwing complexity at the world and like as though they've got these mystical tools to make it really secretive. And then even over the years, I've seen other finance professionals, kind of almost trying to provide complex scenarios that just qualify them as an expert. And I'm like, it's just not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not. Finance is just, there's 2 pillars that I'm trying to solve. And if I can solve those 2 things, we'll get you a home loan. Like, it's that. And maybe we need to add some structures and some complexity around ownership. We had a situation the other day where we needed to buy a property in one person's name because the other person was like going through a bit of a shift in their career and stuff like that. We didn't even do any common debt reduction, but their situation just meant it wasn't quite optimal to do a loan in joint names. And we just went, hey, this is super easy. We'll just take you off the application and go. Like it's just not that hard.
Yeah.
And so I think from my perspective, I want to decrease the noise. I want to make sure that what we're giving to everyday Aussies is actually allowing them to breathe when it comes to money. When finance is there, it's like, oh, this isn't that stressful.
Yeah.
So yeah, my goal around kind of like, you've been banking finance 16 years. I was commercial real estate agent, got into banking 17th of October 2022 and have gone like through that whole journey of being senior home lender, which we did together almost 10 years ago in May. Yeah. 6th of May, I found a photo the other day.
Ago. Gross.
I saw my first professional banking photo, like my first, and I was like, why is my face so round?
I bet you didn't see mine.
No one will ever see that. Yeah. It was hard enough to get an updated profile for our website, let alone, I mean, you had blonde hair when I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a razor fade.
Yeah. We can safely leave that all 10 years ago now. Yeah.
No, my cheeks were way too round to justify a razor fade. It was, it was not a good idea. But yeah, I just think that simplicity of finance with a career that we've had, Laura, Mary even.
Yeah.
We're the only ones in this business that aren't accountants.
Yes, I did realise that actually.
I was just like, I think I've got the most broken qualifications. Let's just clarify.
Yeah,
I have got those, but it's very, very much a team effort, and I just want to take everything that we see every single day executing with our clients and go, let's just relax for a second, because it's really not that hard. So
yeah, for sure. Your finances, I mean, I feel like if you don't carve out time to think and talk about your finances, you're not going to get towards goals or have goals.
Yep.
But you should have these dedicated times with your dedicated team of professionals that are there to help you. But it shouldn't be your constant everyday thought. You should be able to then leave it, go about your living your life, and it's sort of like in the background, someone's taking care of things for you.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, where you really pull that together for your customers.
Yeah. And I don't like the transactional nature of where finance is kind of been a little bit recently. And where I think their tension is you've got brokers who want to be high efficient. I just want to bring clients in and we will solve their finance problems. And then you've got brokers who really want to be relationship driven. And there's some incredible broking firms that have solved this, right? I'm not saying, but the tension I saw when I moved into broking was, how do I meet this in the middle? Like commercial wise, we need to do home loans. That's what we, do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I can't manage 500-600 people by myself. So how do I empower a team? And I think for me, like that is kind of the tension that we found really with banking a little bit. Like you were talking earlier about the observations you'd made around just leading bankers.
Yeah.
The key there was like quite often it's actually, oh no. So I don't know if you remember this, and he did not stay in that job for long. I'm always and this is one of the things I always say, it's not bank first broker, it's person first person. If you got the finance professional that you trust.
Yeah.
And I remember someone who we learnt to lend with, just within 55 seconds, qualified the client, realized they didn't have enough cash, told them they didn't have enough cash and said, thank you, see you later, and hung up. And our boss stood up and said,
that's not
how are you today? It's you've kind of got this tension between brokers who are, trying to like get all this complexity, and then bankers who are just, yes, no is a deal. No, you get to the ceiling. They say your borrowing's 400,000, whereas we've got a solution at 800 grand for an investment, and your dreams are just crushed.
Yeah.
And so I think just trying to solve that, which kind of like, I think just leads me on to what neat actually means.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? We do complexity. We have to. It's just, what does it mean to get you clarity first on your position? I think a broker, and at least this is how I think of our firm, everyone's always, where do we go first? Who do we talk to first?
Yeah.
What do we do first? And I think we have tried to position ourselves in a way where we go, we are the current location on your map.
Yeah.
We're right where you want to know where you stand, current location, let's go. Yep. And then you can kind of go, all right, well, here's this big plan that I've got. I had a life admin last year actually with a couple where they're like, we want to do X, Y, Z and save X, Y, Z by this date. And I was like, how many more jobs are you going to get?
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do that and you want to triple both of your incomes and decrease your spendings, awesome. But let's get clear over where you're at now, what you're earning and what's actually possible before we throw big visions out.
Yeah, but I think that's what sets, a sort of an experienced and a seasoned broker apart from whoever you were referencing day one on the phones that just sent that person away. But that's what sets them apart, right? Is maybe what the customer's first thought is not where they end up. Maybe they need to pivot, but they don't know what options are available to them, and they need someone, with some expertise to say, we could work towards that and it's going to take you this many years, or if your goal is to act faster, you could do this, which, is slightly different, but it's a stepping stone towards what you want and it will get you there faster or whatever. Or you can grow with the market and things like that.
Yeah. And look, I think that kind of leads us to the next thing, right? In terms of long-term over short-term, it's, you can put a 6-month plan in place, right? And if you're doing a 6-month property transaction, unless you're doing a development or something like that, you're doing something that's going to increase the price. Like, it's always, for me, got to be the long term. Like, it's got to be a 10 to 15 year thing. It's not about, oh my goodness, I've made this transaction, now I'm completely overwhelmed. Yeah. It's like, well, we probably should have looked at your current location first, figured out what's going on before we made this move. And I've seen time and time again when we just slow down at the very beginning with, what is your borrowing capacity? How much cash, how much equity do you have? Let's solve what you can do. and at the same time just be really clear on where that location is, people looking and going, oh my goodness, what, I can actually achieve it in real time. Like I remember one client in real time from the day they touched base with us, by the time we did the submission, application, pre-approval to settle, like maybe it was a couple months, their living expenses and their financial situation was just on an insane trajectory because suddenly they had a reason to not spend or not waste their money. Like it's about how can we look at these long-term goals and give you an idea of what this is actually going to help you achieve, what these loans are going to look like. You know, should we go interest only or principal interest? Well, let's look at the long term. If you keep this interest only for 30 years, what's that going to cost you versus if you go a little bit extra for P&I? Yeah. Like it's those sorts of conversations instead of, can I, and this is a big buyer's agent problem at the moment, I think, where they're selling people and going interest only for cash flow reasons and not looking at the long-term costs. So people will stack up 5 properties and they're not actually got, well, I could have done this with 3 and made more money and paid less interest. Yeah. So, and that's kind of the third thing is just the calm over chaos. We're the duck paddling. Yeah. And we're working furiously behind the scenes. There's people in our business right now who are working on our clients' goals that I've kind of pointed at. Hey, we're running towards this. They're running, and we've just got to control the messaging. Yeah. And I think you and I, who talk to the clients probably more, pre and post settlement, we're just trying to keep this calm, right? Yeah. Keep it simple.
As it should be. I mean, the customers, and I used to tell lenders this all the time when I was leading them, like the customers should not feel that stress. They got enough of their own stresses going on. They're not doing this as their 9-to-5 job. They're doing this on top of their 9-to-5 job most of the time. So really they should be able to almost handball the deal over to you, and you just tell them the minimum that they need to contribute to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that, that is a very, that's a very key kind of principle in terms of what tools can I give you to help that next step? Because I spoke to a first home buyer yesterday. Yeah. And it was like, hey, you've got an option. You can kind of keep grinding and hustling. But this job that you've got over here has 40 to 50 grand income potential. Yeah. Let's just send it over here. Yeah. And if you do that, all this downhill stuff is just going to take care of itself. And so I think clients will come to us with a lot of options, and it's like, hey, let's distill it. Yeah. Here's a strategy or whatever to go, this is your next step. Yeah. Make it really clear. And that for me is just always going to be if I can't set someone up to have real clear practical tools on how to clean up over the next kind of 6 months, if they're not wanting to do an immediate transaction, I kind of feel like I failed from that perspective. Yeah.
You've been talking about this quite a bit, and I think one of my observations, especially as a leader of lenders, is that a lot of the time they can almost gatekeep a solution. And I don't know that they necessarily
qualify the client.
They're probably not even trying to or thinking about trying to get rid of the customer or anything like that. A lot of the time, I think what it is there's a genuine fear in a lender that they've seen this go wrong in the past and they're worried it's going to happen again, or they've seen where something has been a roadblock previously and they get a little bit burned and guarded from it, and they try and rule it out. And if they ever get a customer who has a hint of something like that going on, they will then try to not do a deal with them.
It just struck me that I invest so much time into meetings without I probably should do a little bit more of that. But it's a good point. They probably a little bit guarded. Yeah.
And I know you and I, and I say raised, I mean, we were by our leader, raised as lenders to look for what can you do, not what can't you do. Yeah. And I mean, from watching you over the last year, that's certainly something that's stuck in your core values.
Yeah. I think one of the visions I had for this team was when we learnt to lend, and Callan, if you ever watch this, thank you.
Big thanks.
Yeah. You know where I am if you ever want to leave. I think it was very much this really cool culture we had, and we could all work remotely, right?
Yeah.
Like we could. And I could just sit in this office by myself. But I really wanted that culture of put the client on mute. Hey, I just need to solve this deal. Like 2 seconds. How do I solve it?
Yeah.
Where's the brain's trust, right? And I think that culture really set me up to go, do I need these 5 boxes? Do I need to tick these 5, 6 boxes? Like you're spending and then analyze it. And it's you almost get clients victim blaming when things go wrong.
Yeah.
You hear bad stories with other lenders and brokers and whatever. And it's always a red flag to me when someone's blaming themselves for a transaction not being executed well. And what I started to realize is I just the 2 pillars philosophy we've got now in like our whole strategy for investors is really based around this. What is your equity position or cash position? What can you put into this transaction to make that happen? And then what can we show the bank as evidence to service this loan? Not afford it, because everyone can afford more than what banks say generally, but how can you service this loan?
Yep.
And how can you show serviceability in a way that the bank is comfortable with to then give you more finance, leverage, buy investment, buy your dream home, create wealth, get equity, leverage that off it. Like, what does that look like? This big giant concept of trust and all that kind of jazz, it's all there. It will happen to the right people in the right time, but it's basic core. We've got a CEO of a company at the moment where I'm like, you got equity, you got income, sweet. And she's like, what about this? And I was like, I don't care. Like I didn't use those words, but I actually don't care.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's got like, that's for me to worry about and comment around. If I need to get the context of something, I will ask once I've gone through it.
It's almost like your job is to neaten up not just things for the customer, but for the banks as well. Like you're kind of like neatening up things on both ends, because you would be very naive and green to think that you could build a business around people who already are neat in their finances. Like there's going to be people that have had things that need explaining. And if you try and rule them all out to not do business with them at the start, you're going to realize very quickly that everyone's got a bit of a messy background. It's about understanding the context behind why did that happen and is it explainable? And will a bank understand that part of someone's life? And or how can you make them understand? Which I think, you know, you're kind of doing that neat on both sides, really.
It's look, you screw it. You talk to BDMs all the time and they're like, give us what we ask for. That's what, like, just give us what we ask for. And it's like, we've got a loan that went unconditional last night, 8:00 last night. I was texting the clients going, it went unconditional. It's $100,000 loan. It's not that big of a deal. They were kind of stitched up a little bit 18 months ago, you know, trying to complete something. And they need to get this equity out of, you know, another property and all this kind of stuff. And I looked at it and they're like, we'll go to, like, it's just $100,000. We'll go to, like, I think I'm making $650 plus GST. Like, it's not much on it. But I looked at the situation and I looked at them and then I looked at the bank they were with and I was like, this is going to go belly up if I don't do this application. Like, I just don't know. And it's not bank versus broker, person to person. I don't know who they're going to end up with and how this deal is going to be presented and what reasons we're going to give for this to be approved and what mitigants for this situation are going to be used. And I know these clients, you know, reasonably well, and I get the context they're going, and I can actually make it explained their situation to the bank in a way that everyone's happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Without lying, without compromising our integrity or values. Like, it's actually, you know, half of our job, right, to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for them, it was just literally a matter in time of we've got your equity, we've got your borrowing capacity, it all works. We've just got this little kind of situation that you're going through at the moment that we just need to explain properly. Yeah. And if they'd have walked into a guy who's been lending for 3 weeks, you know, who knows? Yeah. Even it really, really opened my eyes. We've got clients who did an incredible home, like their dream home's been purchased.
Love it.
Like it's It was one of the harder home loan applications that we've gotten improved. And it was just a couple months in the making, walking through. And I remember at the time when I was prepping this application for submission, we're actually advertising for Laura's role. And so what I was doing is I was throwing this scenario at everyone to kind of go, hey, this is a situation, to see what they would do. Like hey, we've got XYZ and XYZ and they're doing da-da-da-da. How would you solve this? What would your approach? And I had a couple of newer brokers and one really fresh or green bank lender who applied for the job. And I was like, I'll just see if these guys are, real credit analysts or just trying to become brokers eventually. Like I needed Laura being Laura.
Yeah.
And unanimously, and the banker was kind of like, the context of the bank he works with, I was like, I get why you're saying this, but they're all unanimously, apart from one, said it can't be done. Just flat out couldn't be done. And I was like, explain to me why. And they didn't understand how to mitigate complex home loan applications. They hadn't learnt to do what they do. They were just, bank policy says 2 years. And I was like, he said, bank policy, you need 2 years self-employed. I was like, ANZ's 18 months GST registration. What are you on about? Like I was getting a bit annoyed at him. And so I think, not to toot our own horn, we've done enough of that. There are legitimate people that you can deal with in broking industry that will make it neat, will make it clear, will make you understand. And I don't think we quite often grill those experts that we're going to deal with. Again, it's not bank versus broker. You and I know, I spoke to one yesterday, a banker yesterday who he's 10 times the finance professional I will ever be. He just doesn't have more than one option. Yeah. And he gets paid way too well to ever come into broking. So it's like that's where he's at. But
it's so funny. I remember when we started out being lenders and we would have a customer whose situation was just far beyond whatever the bank's appetite was. Like there was no way that we were going to do the deal, and we were taught to send them to a broker. If we couldn't do it, if we genuinely couldn't help them, there is someone that you can go to out there that has a scope of lending far broader than what we know about. They will be able to sort you out in a pinch. And it's funny to be on that side of the fence now, to see that you're actually, you are working with customers who, some of them are very affluent, very vanilla, very easy to slide through. But some of them, there's like a real project of work to make sure that they're getting into their dream home or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think anytime you can get someone who's been self-employed for 6 months into a house. Yeah. And we've done it twice in the last 9 months. Yeah. I freaking love being a broker.
Yeah, how cool is that? How cool is that? Like,
I pinch myself. I'm like, but again, the irony is both those situations were things that I learnt to do at CommBank. Yeah. And I bet you if I walked into our local branch, the banker wouldn't be there knowing how to do that and knowing that he could probably – and risk appetite changes over time. Like one of the things I say is your bank's risk appetite is a marketing plan. Yeah. So they're going to create a risk policy based on the business that they want to market and bring in, and so they will advertise we will do risky self-employed to brokers to get that business in, or to the market to get that business in. And so you've got to understand that it's not that your bank doesn't want your business. It's that they're trying to attract these types of clients.
They're balancing their risk appetite. Yeah.
And so you might have a bank that goes, hey, we will do risky, but we're going to charge it for it. Like there's all that sort of stuff. I think the reality, and this may have changed with the CommBank over the years, we were doing, like I had a tradie who had been self-employed for 1 year when we did 12 months self-employed financial, 2 years self-employed financial. Like that was the policy back then. You did 2 years self-employed. And I was like, this guy's been a PAYG plasterer for 10 years. Yeah. And he's been self-employed. I've got his old tax returns. I've got his current tax returns. Yeah. He's on the same amount of money.
He knows what he's doing.
I mitigated it. I explained to it. And the credit officer went, yeah, Sweet. And I think that's changed slightly with CommBank nowadays. Like I don't know I haven't done one of those recently, but another Big Four bank has been literally these two clients in the last months that I'm thinking of. They've both been professionals or one trade, one professional, backed by a partner that's, doing pretty well. And they've both been self-employed for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, there's always a solution out there. And the fun ones for me is when we get a solution that I have to convince my BDM to let me.
I know. I hear it.
Yeah. No, yeah, as long as don't overhear the assessor. There's a reason why Laura gets my credit assessor phone calls now. It's very fun. But yeah, look, to bring it all back, I don't think we're not here to hype suburbs. We're not going to push finance bros with kitschy little things. I've got a wife and 2 kids. You've got similar, but a husband, 2 daughters. We're both homeowners. We both want more out of what we're trying to do in life than just to, pay off our house and move on into the sunset. And so I think we're just being really clear. The amount of times you give me a story from a barbecue, like I'm determined to make that a segment that we go to constantly. Yeah. Because you seem to go to more barbecues than I do. I think you probably listen.
Maybe I absorb more than you do.
But no, look, I think this is second nature to us. Like we had a strategy meeting. I hope the clients never listen to this, where we were waiting for an updated comparison to come with an updated pricing the other day, and I just spent the first 10 minutes talking about what we live and breathe until the team could get it to me. Like it was just waiting for something, and it comes so natural that this is what we live and breathe every day. Yeah. And so we're excited to talk about it, not add any hype, cash flow, property, be really clear, even some clarity around the negotiating on property. That's one of my favorite things to do to help people negotiate on property is just, like it's just not that hard. Yeah. And it's made to be really complex. It's not that hard
for you.
Yeah.
Because you think about this kind of stuff constantly, but for your customers, I mean, I'm sure that whatever support you can offer them, like, is invaluable to them.
Yeah, I think also the truth.
Yeah.
I don't see many investors succeeding without a buyer's agent at the moment, and we are going to bring in some incredible buyer's agents.
Yeah.
Like I've got some guys that just are weapons at what they do and realists at the same time. Like they help with cash flow. They are very realistic. And so I think, buyer's agents, kind of investors, very, very important. The other flip side to that is, what do we do like when you're a first home buyer and you can't afford a buyer's agent? What do we do?
Yeah.
And so giving someone the tools to negotiate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a skill they're going to need to have, because you see there's in my street at the moment, or the 2 streets that I sort of went back onto and one that is my street, I think there's like 3 houses for sale at the moment.
In my block, perhaps?
We have, I don't know if it's a complex. Like, I don't know if you call it a block. You can call it a block if it makes you feel better.
Yeah. I feel like we need to bring, like, the block is being stolen from the block.
On my block.
Yep.
There is 3 houses for sale because one person sold recently and they got double what they paid for it. And that's caused a flurry of people saying, should we at least have a look? And now there's 3 houses for sale. But my point is, every Saturday morning, my block is filled with people. There are thousands of them walking around at the moment, going to all of the different open homes, making offers, that kind of stuff. And the competition is real out there at the moment to buy the house. Even at these higher prices, you got to know what you're doing a little bit more than an average person to be able to be successful.
Wow. That's, I remember 21 to 23, and this is not a new problem. I think what we're finding at the moment is very highly publicized what is happening with the first home buyers guarantee. Prices have tracked from 700 to $1 million. Like, it's just increased as soon as that went up. It's clearly indication there, but I mean, like, supply and demand is always an issue. It's just people can compete against each other, and there's obviously demand. So the market and capitalism is winning. I don't think the government has influenced it, but it's not the government making that decision, right, around what properties are actually worth. What I think happened, like when I bought my home in 2019, I rocked up to the first open home Thursday. Shout out Dan De Silva. He was selling that, and there was like a couple kind of hugging and praying and almost crying. And I was like, how many open homes have you been to? Like, how long have you been on this path? Ironically, I think they ended up buying it. But it's this observation that I kind of took away of like, I need to help people negotiate better, because what they did, I was the third highest offer on that property. Mm-hmm. They bought it for $588. I offered $520. Yeah. That was so far above where they needed to be. And I started observing, like I was a mobile banker still at CommBank then. And I started observing that my clients who weren't engaged with me in negotiating, like, you know, me helping, they kind of went, I need this pre-approval for $500,000 back then, or 700,000. Yeah. And they didn't kind of understand they wanted to buy for 7, maybe they need to negotiate to 705 and stuff like that, right? And so what I started to look at was these people who were like, I get a pre-approval for the X amount, that's what I spend, and I go away and negotiate. We're just offering that, would come back after 6 months, we renew the pre-approval by then and go, what is the maximum I can do? We'd ratchet it back up and then throw that whole budget at the next property. Yeah. And it's like, I was like, okay, there's a smarter way to do this, right? Yeah. Like let's go, what do you want to spend? Let's get a smart buffer in that's not going to break your bank, but gives you flexibility to negotiate. And when you walk up to a property, what do I think the max I want to spend? And then just hug that a little bit closer than you do. And it's just like I took that and went, oh my goodness, I need to help. I need to figure out how to negotiate. And I like multiple offices in Queensland's a big thing. Yeah. Perth, clients who are settling today on their property, they went from like, what was it? It increased in negotiating by $200,000, and it was just back, forth. New South Wales, you can get gazumped. Victoria, like it's a negotiating process. So I really like best and final in Queensland, because you can actually negotiate and be tactical around your final offer. Yeah. And so there's a lot going on there that let's just make it neat. Yep. Let's make it calm. Here are your ideal offer conditions, and here's some tips to help you nail it. Like it's just. Yeah. And like, you know, a 10-minute pep talk from you before they go to an open home the next day or something like that around don't be scared to negotiate, and here's some practical ways of doing it. I'm going to get so many calls the Friday.
It could be the difference between them getting a house or not, or saving, you know, what would have been if they went in too high, what would have been their first 5 years of repayments. They could have saved 100%. That originally. Yeah.
The first home buyer I spoke to yesterday, his brother, I helped him buy his first home a couple of years ago and went in, and I just said, hey, do something a little bit silly. It sounds dumb, sounds really transparent. Kind of get a little bit closer to that upper limit and throw an odd number on the end. Yeah. Random odd number. Yeah. Just like, it might not work, just do it. And they went and accepted it straight away. And they were like, the agent literally said, I just saw you're probably at the top of your limit. Yeah. And we had no other offers. So we had to accept it. It was like, I was willing to add another 30 to that. Yeah. Like, so it's, you know, little things like that just seem so stupid, you know, and don't ask ChatGPT what your offer should be, because you'll go, hey, put an odd number on, and it'll just put a 1. Yeah. It'll be 001. Just don't, just call me and I'll go 573.
It's the first time I've ever heard you talk bad about AI. Are you okay?
Let's just say I can talk to AI like I can't employees. No, you're wrong. Oh, goodness. But look, there is so much more we could go into. We could literally do this like all day, and that is what we're going to keep doing. And for us, like, I know if we can keep adding clarity, it will compound, and clarity compounds constantly. Yeah. And when you're stressed, everything's muddled. Like, you can't grow in that stress place. You can go through stress, but you need that clearness of why you're doing what you're doing. And so if we want to get that clarity back into people's lives, homeowners, we want to reach out, make sure that looks good, simplify things so people understand, and just provide a platform for some of the best experts that we've ever met in our careers to come and talk and just share with what we're doing.
Okay.
So thank you guys for joining. This is Bindi.
Was I supposed to say it?
Goodness. I'm Alex Watson, and welcome to Finance But Neat.